Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope you're having an amazing day. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Now we're taking a look here today at Smooth Love Potion, SLP. I've got a really good group of folks that keep asking me to cover this, and I've been meaning to, so thank you so much for your patience on this one. And if you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. This is always for educational purposes only. Just know you're in very, very good hands. I have years of trading experience, over 15 years, and my goal is to help you become more of an effective trader. But I can tell you that I've gotten here by learning a lot from a lot of different people, okay? So don't take what I say here as gospel, but I can assure you that you are in very good hands, like I mentioned. And the reason why I can say that is because I have a signal group that I provide, every single trade to my community members, and we're all growing very quickly and also gaining a lot of profit. It's been extremely profitable, and I confidently say that because I have about an 85% success rate right now, and last 3 months alone in that group. So check that out. There's a link in the description below. I have an informative video in case you're wondering what you'd be getting into, but we have trading bots, provide you with entry targets, best practice, everything you really need to know to be more of an effective trader, plus a private chat group where we can all communicate together, you and I as well. Okay, so check that out again in your own time, but I want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch this here. Let's go ahead and jump into SLP. Let's take a look at the charts. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look here at Smooth Love Potion, SLP. And just before we do, we look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first, get a quick baseline on the market, just so we know what's going on before we understand, how to make an informed decision. Because obviously, Bitcoin has a lot to do with, the price action for a lot of coins. Now, SLP is a little different, and we'll see here in a moment what I mean by that. But let's go ahead and start off with our actual, Bitcoin analysis. And just before we do that, to preface, I use TradingView.com desktop application. Link in the description below if you're interested in a free month to see if you kind of like it before you buy it. I recommend paid versions just because you get more than 2 indicators present at any given time. It's helpful to be able to do a complete analysis that way. Regardless, let's go ahead and take a look here. So Bitcoin has a lot of support and resistance channels. I've left some of the older ones up there just in case, but I don't think we're going to have to worry about that for a while. Because what it keeps doing is it keeps changing from one channel to another. It stayed between 41 and 44, and then it just jumped right straight through to break 46,800 as its previous resistance. Now that's a support, and at this point it keeps testing 48,800 to see if it can kind of break above. So we'll see what happens, of course. Honestly, at this point though, the good news is the price is above both moving averages. Those start to trend upwards here. We'll start seeing some price action increase. Now keep this in mind as well. We do have a potential golden cross here coming up where the 50 might intersect, well, definitely will intersect with the 200 here soon. So we'll see what happens there as well. Again, this is the 4-hour chart. It isn't necessarily the chart that everyone uses for those things, but it is there is a correlation there oftentimes on the 4-hour chart because it's kind of the second most popular time frame for the industry leaders. All right, so all in all, Bitcoin's in pretty darn good shape here. As we can see, just really quick here, the price did almost bounce off of 46,800. In fact, I had an open position, or a potential position I was trying to open at 46.8. It didn't trigger, unfortunately, hit 46.9 and bounced, but that's okay. It's up here now, closer to about 49,000 even. We'll see what happens. Ethereum, let's see here. What's Ethereum doing? Now, pretty obvious. We can see the price kind of bouncing off of the 200-day simple moving average. That's working as a support level right now. The 50 is also moving upwards to intersect with the 200. So all in all, pretty good shape here. I would say that the major support level is still 3,200. Resistance at about, what is that? It's about 36.35. Okay, because that was recently tested here. So all in all, kind of just staying within this channel here as well. I expect Ethereum to start taking off here in the near future once Bitcoin, kind of stabilizes above 50,000, which I think is very likely. All right, let's go ahead and see what's going on with Smooth Love Potion. Now, I covered this one a while back, I recall. In fact, I got a lot of subscribers from that, and there's a good group of folks. Unfortunately, just kept getting hammered here, right? So his major sell-off just kept on pushing further and further down. I'm venturing to guess right now at this point we are at its, we're closer to the bottom, so I don't foresee it coming down much lower. In fact, if we look at the history here, it hasn't really done this type of increase yet. So we've got one solid strong day here. The price is coming up on the 50-day simple moving average, though. Keep that in mind. That could work as a resistance. But the great news here, and this is just kind of the inevitability of the RSI on the 1-day chart. Look at how the RSI is above 50 now. That's a great sign. If we can get that to close above 50, which we should, unless we see a major retracement here in the next 8 hours, we should be able to see this close above. And in turn, what that does, it basically infers the fact that we have bullish convergence, right? So it's basically a bullish sentiment when the price correction, when the RSI is up over 50, obviously the price is driving it up there. It's a very good sign because that works as a kind of a support level. Okay, so 50 to 70 here right now for the RSI is a really good sign. That should imply that we're going to see a turnaround and continue moving forward. Okay, we had a convergence on the MACD on the 22nd. Don't need to worry about that, but that did essentially signal the fact that we're going to have a turnaround. Even though we saw a lot of sideways action, we're seeing an increase here today. So good things for Smooth Love Potion. I think it's we're basically getting out of the doghouse if you look at it here, because I mean honestly, with a 4-hour chart, if you can kind of see this here, the 50 have been working as a support level. The price ramped up here in the last 12 to 16 hours, and we've got the 200 working as a support level now. You see it broke above, came down, bounced, and now it's staying above. So we're looking pretty darn good here for SLP in regard to the recent price action. RSI is up over 70. That's fantastic. Hopefully, you can kind of stay above and continue either just sideways for a little bit to have it kind of come down. But ultimately, if we can stay between 70 and 90 on the RSI, that'll be a really good sign. And it's okay if we don't. Obviously, if it drops down below under 70 and stays above 50, that's perfect. That's what we're hoping for. But just keep in mind the 4-hour RSI, it does tend to move a little quicker than the 1 day. Whereas I think the support level on the 1 day chart is more reflective of what should happen moving forward. Whereas the 4-hour is kind of, it'll hover between 50 and 90 depending on where we're at in the increase or the continuation. We're going to take a look at a smaller time frame to kind of see if this is a healthy bull run. It's looking like it is, just based on the fact that it keeps going up, down. We do have somewhat of a staircase pattern, and we'll look at that here in just a moment. Well, the takeaway here is the fact that we're up over the simple moving averages, which is excellent. RSI is in really good shape, showing that we should have a continuation to the upside here. And I think there's a chance that we might see some sideways action followed by another leg up. Take a look here at Ishimoku Cloud. Obviously, we're up above the cloud, which is pretty standard considering the price increase we have. But in retrospect, of course, I know it's hindsight's 2020, but when the price is above the cloud, it's considered a buy signal. So had you bought in here to say the 1st of October, 3 days ago, you would have experienced a pretty decent increase here, which is about 52%. So to me personally, right now, just based on big picture and how low SLP is compared to where it could be or it started, I think there's a strong chance you're going to see a 2 or 3x if you're to consider taking entry in the near future, right? So I would honestly say anything under 10 cents is a very good value, just based on the simple fact that I think we're going to see this continue to the upside here in the next couple of months. All right, let's take a quick look at TD sequential and kind of just see where we're at here. Oops, sorry. So looking at this, so we can see we got a reset at 8, got some sideways. So this is actually very good. I like this. Every time it takes a leg up, it has a chance to consolidate afterwards, which is a very, very good sign. So in other words, any kind of good bull run, you'll see kind of an up over pattern, right? So we're looking at something like that. This is fantastic. Obviously, that wasn't a very good representation, but this might be more accurate, or we should see some sideways action, slight retracement, followed by another leg up. Okay. Now keep in mind, the reason why I'm happy about this is the fact that normally with TD sequential, it counts up to a 9 and resets, and it usually retraces. In this instance here, it counted up to an 8 and went sideways and allowed for it to reset. So it's giving it a chance to calm down and relax, and let the bulls continue on their run, and still allowing the bears to kind of take their profits, but also increasing the price as well. So it's interesting how that works. It's kind of a natural phenomenon that happens within trading. But anytime you're going to try to identify a good bull run, it usually has a staircase pattern. That's what I like to look for myself. All right, so let's take a look at the 15 just to quickly identify EMA and VWAP. Pretty obvious that the price is going to be above EMA and VWAP, based on the simple fact that the price is consistently increasing. But as we can see here on the blue line here, that's the volume weighted average price. Takes the volume the last 24 hours, express it as the price. Now, why don't we take a quick look at the standard deviation between that, and you can see the price, even though it ramped up here, got further out of that deviation line, it had to come back down and correct itself. So that's why that staircase pattern is very helpful. You see how it increases, comes out of that standard deviation, and then works its way back down. That's very, very healthy. I like to see that. But generally speaking, when there's a variance of under 10%, then you're in pretty good shape. This is right at 11, so I'd like to see it continue sideways for a little bit longer and then increase further after that. But the bottom line is the price continues to stay above EMA and VWAP, so all in all, we're looking at a pretty healthy bull run here for SLP. So my prediction, just based on this sentiment alone, it's pretty straightforward. So let's take one quick look here at the one-day chart first, just before we look at that talking openly about a prediction, because here's how it works. You want to look at its ICO date, right? So it was introduced on April 30th. Well, April 17th was a major Bitcoin sell-off, so the price was kind of going down at that point. Obviously, afterwards, we saw a lot of altcoins increase between the 17th and just say, what is it? I think it was May 10th, May 11th, just before that first major sell-off. But if we look here, we're looking at April 30th. ICO date ramps up huge. Sells off, makes sense because it went up too fast, too quick. But if we look over here, there's May 10th. That's like the Elon candle where the price continued to come down. Most altcoins dipped right then. And then they dipped even further on May 19th, which is right here. So this red candle right here kind of shoved the price down further. So I mean, if you kind of think about it, it was spending most of its time between 14 and 27 cents before the major sell-off occurred. And then it went sideways at about 13 cents for quite some time. It ramped back up here July 2nd and continued to the upside, which was somewhere in the range, because right around here, and that's the interesting thing about this, because we look back here, let's look at Bitcoin really quick. July 22nd, that's when it hits sub 30,000, right? Or July 20th, I think, but it started ramping up July 20th. We'll look at July 20th here for SLP. It started to decrease the entire time, right? So that's really odd and really interesting, but here's the thing you got to understand. SLP ramped up hard from July 2nd all the way up until like July 14th. That's the same exact time that Bitcoin was super, super low, right? We kept getting a lot of false positives, thinking the price would increase, but it kept going down. So this inevitability here, this low slope here, that makes perfect sense because it was overextended. So what I recommend here for SLP, if you were to consider taking entry, obviously anything under 10 cents I feel is a strong buy. Okay, I think it's pretty safe to say that the price will get at least to somewhere in the range of 15 to 20 cents in the next couple months. Will it get there right away? Perhaps, because it has a history of ramping up when Bitcoin does poorly. Now, Bitcoin's doing well right now, and it's ramping up. That tells me there's a good chance we're going to see SLP take off here in the near future, because again, we're up over 50 on the RSI on the one-day chart. I don't believe we have, let's see if we have a convergence. That's right, we had the convergence previously on the 22nd. But we've got some really good stuff going here, right? Now, even though we don't have a MACD convergence, that's not a big deal. It actually didn't allow itself to converge because the price has just consistently increased over the last 2 weeks. So all in all, I think SLP is a good buy. I do foresee it increasing. I would say just consistently, keep adjusting your stop losses higher as you hit your profit targets. Okay. And when I say profit targets, you should always set a target before you create a trade, because the simple fact that if you don't shoot for a target, you're going to hold on for too long, and you will essentially lose your profits based on the fact that it gets to a point and you don't have any type of sell target, then you're going to just find your money just kind of dwindle away, right? So I mean, say retrospect, you had bought down here at like 14 cents, and it comes up to about 34 cents. You keep holding on your diamond hand holder, and now it's back down to 6 cents. That sucks hard, right? So if you had set a profit target of just say 25 or 30 cents and taking your profits and watch the price fall down afterwards, there's nothing better than hitting your profit target and watching the price retrace after you hit it. Okay, and you won't be able to hit those targets if you don't set them. Okay, so being a good trader is all about setting good stop loss, good targets. I recommend certain trading bots as well, because they do allow for you to have trailing stop losses that can continuously increase as you hit your profit targets. That's how I have mine set up through Cornix, and it's a really cool option because it helps you kind of control your trades. All right, and now I have a follow option with my patrons where I send out signals to all my community members, and what we do is I provide you with every single trade that I take, and the bots will essentially follow that for you. So you just click follow, it's all said and done, everything's ready to go. So I mean, there's like really cool automated processes now that make trading a lot easier. Again, as long as you have good good fundamentals, good foundational skills of setting targets and sticking to them. Don't just open a trade and just kind of go willy-nilly and have no stop loss or no profit targets. That's ridiculous. Don't get me wrong. So a lot of swing trades, you can totally do that. You can totally get away without a stop loss. That's perfectly fine. What you should do is have a trailing stop loss in place, so once you hit your profit target, it continues to increase closer to that, so that way when there's a retracement, you still take your profits. Right? Anyways, I'm a very profitable trader because of the fact that I take profits when I can. I don't necessarily hold on forever, right? And that's nothing wrong with that. I have an account set aside for my hodl trades too, but when it comes to swing trades or day trades, don't get greedy. Never turn a day trade into a swing trade. Either way, I'm rambling again. I apologize. I just hope you can understand there's a best practice that you need to stick with, and I always make sure to communicate that to my patrons. So if you are in need of some good foundation, or perhaps you want someone to walk alongside you in this journey of cryptocurrency, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, feel free to join my Patreon account. Check that out in your own time. But I do want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Again, just to clarify, my prediction for SLP in the next 2 months would be to hit somewhere in the range of 15 to 20 cents. I do think it's likely that it will hit its all-time high again before year end. I think that's likely. But it really just depends on how Bitcoin performs, right? Because again, even though it's done very well when Bitcoin does poorly, it's still very much reliant on Bitcoin doing well in a sense, because without it, no coin will succeed with Bitcoin just heading straight down, right? So bear that in mind. And the fact that Bitcoin's been doing well the last 24 to 48 hours, and we see a nice increase in that same amount of time from SLP, tells me that we're in good shape here to see some kind of trend to the upside. So that's kind of what I'm thinking there. All right, well, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Again, thank you so much for your time. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.